I've heard so many times that everyone is given equal opportunity in this world, that everyone has the same chance of obtaining this American dream. Well, this dream is unachievable for so many people who look just like me. You see, there's a clear separation in America. You have the haves and you have the have-nots. Some that experience systemic oppression and some that hold privilege not having to endure it at all. Some have democracy and some just have a dream. Yes, I'm very fortunate. I'm not going to deny that. I have had the opportunity of a lifetime that so many young people of color only dream of having. I don't have to consider the cost of obtaining education for 10 years, thanks to Bill Gates. I don't have to consider studying abroad, buying expensive college textbooks, and getting these paid internships all over the country that are allowing me to work on these pressing issues facing our nation. But trust me, all of this has come at a very expensive cost. I grew up in a very unstable, poor environment around constant drug addiction and distribution. Sometimes we could pay the bills, sometimes we couldn't. I bounced around from my mother to my father to my grandparents, whom were the only source of stability in my life. I was forced to grow up at a very young age, least to say, and take responsibility for things that many children didn't even have to think about, such as helping to raise my younger siblings, 10 of them, by the way, preparing dinner at night, giving everyone their baths, throwing the daily paper out every day at 3 a.m., cleaning buildings, and all of that on top of going to school, having homework, and playing 3 different sports all my life. I've seen oppression up close. I've witnessed the gaps woven into the fabric of our country that are very much racially and socioeconomically based, from drug addiction to poverty, from police brutality to mass imprisonment, from strict voter ID laws to felon disenfranchisement. It has all plagued the people I love so very much. Since birth, I've seen the ongoing struggle of African Americans concerning poverty, discrimination, and racial profiling. We all know the names: Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, Alton Sterling the other week, Philando Castile. There is clearly an attack on the Black lives in my community. It was found that police killed over 102 unarmed Black men in 2015. That's nearly 2 per week. And in 2015, unarmed Black men were gunned down by police 5 times the rate of white people. Policing practices are a real testament to the gaps that plague minority communities. There's no logical reason as to why my African American stepdad should have been handcuffed with arms drawn, thrown on the ground, and called the N-word repeatedly, all because police officers felt threatened. That was their probable cause. They saw a Black man driving a Ford Explorer at 3 a.m. and decided that they felt threatened. I've also experienced my aunt being pulled out of her car by the county police and physically assaulted. And I can't even begin to count the amount of times that I've been pulled over for no apparent reason other than for the police to question me about the whereabouts of my family. Situations such as these make me feel like justice is not being served, and that our justice system is skewed to disproportionately target people of color, especially those who cannot afford the required monetary expenses to fight back. So take a minute to imagine these situations. A convicted felon, disenfranchised from society, not able to vote, not able to find public housing, get a job, or even go back to school. For the rest of their life, they will retain a scarlet letter that hinders them from transitioning back into society as an active citizen. Imagine being a single mother, barely making over $8,000 a year to take care of your 5 children while struggling with drug addiction. Imagine being so impoverished that you cannot afford a license or car insurance to drive, or even a federal ID, so you can't vote due to these strict voter ID laws. Imagine being brutalized by the very people that are supposed to be protecting American citizens from harm. It is critical to see that democracy looks different when these are your circumstances. The oppression that people of color face is woven into institutions that are aiding in voter suppression, inequality, and the gaps of access. Individuals dealing with pressing matters like whether they can afford to feed their families or pay rent each month face bigger obstacles to being involved in politics. Individuals who worry about harassment or even death committed by people who are supposed to be public servants question if democracy even exists. When the odds are so stacked against you and it seems that society is not set up for your benefit, you may not even feel that your voice matters. And this is not what democracy looks like. Democracy is allowing everyone in this country to participate so that their opinions are being valued and heard, not stifled to skew results as the few see fit. Democracy is representation, representation that mirrors America's demographic, not just the whites, the wealthy, the heterosexual, the Christian, but indeed everyone. I'm not saying that mending the democracy gap is going to be easy, because America has systemically oppressed groups of people for centuries now. But I refuse to idly sit by and let others dictate democracy for us. Our elected representatives and ourselves need to be held accountable for mending this gap, whether that is by trying to spark legal reform and getting big money out of politics with the New Hampshire Rebellion, fighting voter suppression laws, or just finding ways to register more voters. You can even do nonprofit work dedicated to some aspect of this issue, or even just simply educating yourselves, your family, your friends, your children about this issue at hand. It all makes a difference. This is our democracy, so this is our fight.